All right, guys, exciting day for CanAm. They just released their new models for 2022. Let's check them out. Let's jump into this CanAm release for the new 2022 models. So, as you can see in a little bit of the video I just showed, we did not get the all-new redesigned X3 that I think a lot of people were hoping for or maybe waiting for, but that's okay. As much as I wanted it to happen, I figured it wouldn't, just as in every other manufacturer out there has not done anything massively different. And of course, it's probably a lot has to do with like what's been going on in the past year and a half or whatever. So at the end of the day, I think big things are coming, and I think they're coming soon from Polaris, and I think they're coming soon from CanAm eventually, and maybe some other manufacturers, but not just quite yet. So let's jump into this and let's talk about the new models and or maybe some of the differences or changes to the models that are currently on the CanAm lineup. So first, let's talk about the Defender class. The Defender class has completely been, I don't really want to use the word remapped, but it's been changed a little bit. They have new motors, and I think the biggest thing there is that basically they have gone up in power. And I think everybody wants to see that from your basic models and your small all-around do-it utility models, all the way up until you get to the HD10 model. So it looks like the HD10 model has been unchanged for 2022, but everything else has kind of moved up a hair. The Defender series is a great lineup from CanAm. As you know, Dave owned one for quite some time, and he loved it, and at times he has regretted it since he sold it. So I know he's really liked that lineup, and honestly, Deranged Off-Road has considered maybe adding a new one of those down the road, or possibly a Ranger of some sort in the future for a possible other build. So who knows, we'll see. All right, now let's talk about the clutching system. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll the footage of CanAm talking about their new clutching system. I think this is an important part to cover because it looks like to me that this clutching system is going kind of across the board in their different models, all the way up to their new, I won't say new, I shouldn't say new, just some things have changed on the X3, but this new clutching system is actually going and carrying over into the X3 that I'm gonna talk about later in this video. So let's watch this and have them explain to us this whole new clutching system that's supposed to deliver more power and more consistent power and also be a lot more reliable.
The new CVT P-Drive drive pulley delivers some pretty meaningful improvements. Instead of relying on slider shoes for torque transfer, the P-Drive uses rollers for frictionless movement up and down the torque transfer towers. With features like sealed steel rollers with needle bearings, the P-Drive is simply the most durable, lowest maintenance, and quickest back-shifting primary clutch ever. So what does that all mean for you? Well, you can look forward to more torque and power to get tough jobs done, as well as more dependability.
All right, so that covers the gist of the Defender. There's a lot more I can cover with the Defender. There's so many different things on it, but I do not want to bore you guys to death as we go over every little thing. So jump on their website, look up all the specs, look up all the changes for yourself, and just do a lot of research on all the different options you have if you're looking at going with the Defender, because they've got a lot of great price points now with that machine. All right, let's jump into the next machine. So let's talk about the new Commander, XMR. So this thing's pretty sweet. If you're looking at doing a lot of hunting, or if you're looking at doing a lot of back mountain riding where you're gonna be involved with a lot of mud, a lot of really, really wet terrain, all that kind of stuff, this is probably the machine for you. This thing is pretty awesome. So it comes with a lot of different features, but a couple of things that stand out that they talked about are, first of all, the tires. The tires themselves are designed for this machine, for Can-Am, to put on this machine. And those are XPS Swamp Forces. So I'm not sure, I'm not too familiar with anything dealing with mud tires, but basically they are designed to hold up well on all sorts of terrain, even on the road, and whatever is thrown at it, but also extremely well in the mud. So what's really cool too on this model, when you're in the mud or whatever, basically you will always have traction. They said you actually have a button where you can choose trail mode and mud mode, I believe. But I know there is a mud button on there to help the smart lock make sure that you don't have any slipping when you get into the mud. There's also a couple other really, really cool features with this mud setup. Of course, it's got the snorkels on it, but the other thing is too, is they have a lot of really cool accessories. The one that I came across watching the video, the walk around video, which I'll show here, is the gun holder that they have going across that stays out of your bed. It's a hard case, it snaps right in, and it makes it very easy to carry a gun with you, especially when you're out hunting. So I think this might be an all-around hunting rig. It comes with a winch, all that kind of stuff. It is set up for the backwoods. It's pretty cool right out of the box, what you're gonna be able to do with this machine. So really, I would, if I was looking at doing a lot of deer hunting, or if I was doing a lot of riding out east, and I wanted to hit the trails for multiple days or a full day or whatever, you're gonna have a great size bed in the back, and you're also just gonna have everything that you need to get the job done. So this is a really cool machine. It's a 1000, it provides plenty of power, and also it gives you a lot of the features, so in case you get into those deep woods and get into a lot of mud or whatever, you're ready for that. So overall, the new Commander XMR is a pretty dang good all-around machine, and I'm digging it. Now out west, we don't really ride as much mud and different things. I guess you can see it more in the mountains if you get a lot of rain, or if you're getting close to the springtime when you have a lot of runoff with snow and whatnot. But at the end of the day, we don't see a whole lot of mud like out east does. We got a lot of dry desert and different things like that. But it's there. But all around, I'd still really consider this unit for hunting purposes and different things like that. So pretty cool unit. It only comes in one color, which is the camouflage as of right now, but a lot of different cool accessories, just like the whole Commander line. The new Commander line has a lot of cool accessories from Can-Am. So check that out. Pretty cool. And we'll move on to the next one. All right, so now let's move on to the big daddy, the CanAm X3. So this is the one where I think a lot of people are like, oh man, we're gonna get a redesign. CanAm X3 has been kind of the same for quite a few years. Everything's gonna change. And then we saw all of the new stuff that came out in Can-Am's release today, and it was like, nope, that's not changing. But they did make some changes to their 2022 lineup for CanAm X3. So they made some pretty good changes, I would say, and a couple of them really great changes that I think needed to be done. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is basically the frame itself. So the frame itself has been changed to be about 30% thicker in the tubing, and it also might basically get rid of the need for all the gusset stuff and all that stuff that you have to buy to help strengthen up the front of the CanAm X3. I'm not saying you won't still have to do that, I'm not sure, but it sounds like Can-Am themselves have really gone after to address that problem that we have heard about a lot with the weak front ends of the CanAm X3. So that's cool. So that's pretty awesome. One of the other features that I saw before I talk about some of the other things, check out this roof setup. So you can actually tilt the roof up, and it has all of the roof speakers built into it with LED lighting, it looks, where you can tilt it up, so when you're at a campfire, you're at a party, and you're hanging out somewhere, you can raise the roof, literally like raise the roof because of the music, get it? Anyways, that's old school. But yeah, you can raise it up and have the music come out and blare it. I'll be honest with you, That's cool. Everything's cool looking. I get a little annoyed with all the people and their loud stereo systems. I think they're, personally in my opinion, I think they're worthless. I think they're a waste of time and money to even put in your machine, but that's just me. And to be honest with you, my opinion's changed about that. Like a long time ago, I used to be into that loud stuff and I thought that stuff was all cool. And I just have grown out of that. So not into it. And the reason why is because we went to comm systems in our machines and I just love the comm system. Anyways, personal opinion, that's cool to see on the car. That'll be cool for a lot of people to have. For me, that's just like money I don't need to spend. It's worthless to me, but other than that, it is cool. So it's a cool feature that they thought of because a lot of people are into that kind of stereo system stuff. The other big thing too is they have kicked it up a notch. They're gonna be running 200 horsepower even now. It's not like it's a crazy amount difference, but I think the biggest difference that you're gonna see with that horsepower change is, again, the new clutch system. Key is with the CVT, this new CVT clutch system is just to deliver more consistent, more dependable power to the wheels, so you're not losing as much possibly to the wheels when you stand on the gas, and it's instant more. And maybe it will save your belt for a lot longer. You won't be going through belts, all that kind of stuff out in the dunes, different places. Of course, we'll have to wait and see as people start using them and driving them many miles. All right, guys, there's a few little things that I want to cover at the end of this video with the new CanAm 2022 lineup. So I'm just going to kind of cover like 3 things real quick that kind of maybe stood out to me after watching the release. So first of all is affordability. And I will say that in the Defender line and the Commander line, they came out with a couple units that are right around the ballpark of the Kawasaki Teryx. So as you know, I owned a 800 for quite some time, and they've got a Commander that's running right there in the $13,000 to $15,000 range, along with the Defender with the stepped up motor and the horsepower being around 56. It competes with the Teryx. So I think that's pretty cool, and that kind of stood out to me, especially right now as things are getting so expensive. It gives an opportunity for a lot more people to get in to the sport and do it at a more of an affordable rate. So I think that was pretty cool. The second main thing that stood out to me was the change in the CVT system that they're going to be going with now for 2022 for the Defender, the Commander, and then also the X3. It uses rollers, sealed rollers, all that kind of stuff, and I thought that was pretty cool, and it kind of stood out to me that they're looking at trying to find something a lot more reliable in a CVT, but I'm still thinking between CanAm and Polaris that we're going to be seeing a DCT of some sort coming out like Honda has already done. So that's the other thing. The next thing that stood out to me, and the last thing that I just wanted to hit, was basically the remapping of the X3 when it comes to strength. They really focused on maybe more of the safety, the strength of the X3, and making sure that will hold up and handle everything that's thrown at it, especially at higher speed. They just went all around with upgrading the strength of the X3, which is talked about quite a bit if you're following Facebook groups and different things like that. So those are some of the main things that stood out. I can go on and on and on with all the things to cover, but go over to CanAm and check it out for yourself. All the new models, read up on what they offer, the prices and all that kind of stuff, and see for yourself. The last thing we want to do is ramble on forever about all the different things that are packed into the video of the release of the new CanAm 2022 lineups that happened today. And as you know, CanAm has a lot of different models of their different models of their different models. So anyways, all right, make sure whatever you pack in, you pack out. And until next time, this is Garrett with Deranged Off-Road.